I've owned the Rolling River Ranch for 35 years, long enough to watch Dusty Scrubland turn into cookie-cutter subdivisions with fancy HOAs and people who think they own the countryside. It started when the new Creekside Meadows HOA popped up next door. They built right up to my fence line, and their president, Karen Miller, decided she was the new sheriff in town. First, she tried to fine me for my unsightly hay bales. Then, she filed noise complaints when my roosters crowed at dawn. But last month, she really outdid herself. One morning, I woke up to the sound of boots crunching on gravel, looked out my window and saw 2 sheriff's cruisers and 3 HOA board members standing by my gate, with Karen waving a stack of paperwork around like it was a royal decree. I stepped out onto my porch. She hollered, "You're violating Creekside community standards by keeping dangerous animals. We're here to inspect your property for safety hazards." I just laughed. "Karen, this is a working cattle ranch. Always has been. My bulls were here before your HOA even paved a road. And you don't get to inspect anything on my side of the fence." She snapped her fingers at the deputies. "Arrest him for obstruction. This is a public safety issue." Now, the local sheriff's department knows me well. They raise funds every year with my hay barn for charity rodeos. So the deputies just shrugged and said they were only here because Karen kept calling 911 about my dangerous bulls. They knew the drill, but I could see she'd dragged them out one time too many. But Karen wouldn't quit. She ducked under my gate chain, stomped across my yard, and pointed at my corral. "I want these animals removed. Today." What she didn't realize is that I just moved my prize herd, 12 massive Texas Longhorn bulls, into the front pasture to give them fresh grazing, and they don't like strangers yelling at their fence. While Karen ranted about HOA ordinances, one of my biggest bulls, Thunder, lifted his head. He gave her a look, then let out a bellow that echoed across the whole ranch. The other bulls caught on fast. They lined up along the fence, horns low, hoofs pawing the dirt. Karen turned pale. "What's wrong with them?" she squeaked. I crossed my arms. "Karen, you ever read the sign? No trespassing, livestock may charge. They don't like trespassers." Before she could snap back, Thunder snorted and charged the fence. The boards rattled. Karen screamed, spun on her fancy heels and bolted, almost bowling over one of the deputies as she tore for the gate. The other HOA board members scattered like quail. I whistled and opened the corral. The bulls thundered through the pasture, bellowing like a freight train. They didn't chase the people far, just enough to make their point clear. Karen dove behind the sheriff's cruiser, gasping for breath and shrieking that my bulls were weapons. The deputies, trying not to laugh, told her she had zero grounds to force anything on my ranch. They warned her about filing false reports and wasting department resources. 2 days later, I got a knock on my door. This time it was the county AG commissioner and the sheriff, just to check that everything was in order. They left with fresh steaks and thanked me for keeping my stock secure. Meanwhile, Karen got slapped with a citation for trespassing and had to pay a fine for wasting emergency services. Now, whenever she tries to peek over my fence, Thunder just stares back. Horns wide, eyes locked. Funny how quiet an HOA can get when they remember they don't run the countryside. The bulls do.